Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment and screen breakdown on the 2023 Toyota Prius. In this video we're going to go through how to use the gauge cluster / head-up display right in front of you there, as well as this larger 12.3 inch touchscreen in the middle. We're going to show you how Apple CarPlay and Android Auto work, how to pair up a phone, and walk you through some of the more important features and settings. But before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Now, technically this is the Prius Prime, but this video will apply to Prius Prime and Prius, and then there's also a smaller screen option for the more basic Priuses, but from what I understand the systems work pretty similarly. Entirely new, if you haven't seen the new Prius, it looks quite a lot different. Also loses some rear seat headroom, so I'm not a huge fan of that. Since this is the plug-in hybrid Prime version, I've got it charging up a little bit right here while we're shooting the video. We're going to go out and shoot some more videos, so if you do want to see any of our content, including our highway fuel economy test or our full review, check the link below. We'll have everything listed there. Okay, starting up in front of us here, some people call it a head-up display because it is so far up there and it's close to the windshield, but it's also kind of a gauge cluster, if you will. This 7-inch screen is standard across all Priuses, and you control it here with the steering wheel. Now, it's a fairly busy steering wheel and a fairly busy screen. Toyotas are notorious for placing a lot of information in a small area, so I highly recommend, on top of watching this video, go through and if you purchase a Prius or any newer vehicle, spend time in your driveway, play around with it, get familiar with how everything works so it's less frustrating when you're out on the road. Right now it's going to look a little bit different than it might while you're driving because I am stopped and the car is plugged in. It's showing me this power balance right now, showing me that a good amount of power is coming into the battery from that charger, but some is leaving as well to provide cooling for me here so I don't get too warm. I'm going to start by hitting back and getting to our main screen here. So essentially what you've got is power information where this charge level of your battery, how much power you're either using or regenning, just kind of from a percentage gauge standpoint there, and then how much gasoline you have in your tank. Up top, right here on the top right, you also have a clock. Down on the bottom right, you have your range to empty for the battery as well as the fuel tank. And then over on the left side, the top left, you've got outside temperature. This EV icon right here is showing me that the vehicle would be operating in electric vehicle mode. If we were driving in hybrid mode, then it would show HV right there. And then this area below that is a customizable screen that'll show you a lot of different information. As you press these up and down directional buttons, you go through the different screens that you can see here, the different sections, if you will. So this top one is an energy related screen. It's going to start by showing you average fuel economy, which you can hold the OK button to reset. And if you press right and left, you're going to toggle through individual screens within that section of information. So if I go through here, then we get an eco score. It's going to tell me how economically I'm driving. Continue on that, and an EV driving ratio is up. So for my whole trip, what percentage of that trip was done in electric vehicle mode. Continuing on to the right, power generated since the vehicle turned off from the solar panel, because this Prius Prime has a solar panel on the roof. And we're back to average fuel economy. Now I'm going to go down, and we're going to see information about the vehicle's safety features, the adaptive cruise mode, and then a compass. Continuing down, this is our media screen. If we turn the media on, we can choose a source. Let's say we go to Sirius XM radio. It's going to show me what channel and song is playing. I don't think I can do anything else on that screen. Pretty much just change the source. Continuing down, this is trip information. So it shows me that since the trip has been reset, we've traveled 3.1 miles. And then I can get an energy monitor to see where power is flowing between my battery, electric motors, solar panel, and engine. Continuing on, I see tire pressure for all tires there. And back to the trip. Continuing down, we get some settings here. We can turn on and off our lane departure alert system, our blind spot monitor, the pre-collision system, I believe PCS is, our predictive driving assist. So if we turn this on, that's actually going to slow down the vehicle or turn the vehicle based on what it thinks is going to happen. So it's almost kind of like a very, very basic self-driving. Parking assist, many more safety features that I might want to turn on or off. And then if you get all the way to the end here, you get some settings as well as some meter settings. Let's do vehicle settings first. Press OK. Oh no, we have to hold OK to get into these settings. We have settings for charging. You can set a schedule. You can set your charging current, which is grayed out right now because I'm actively charging, but if I weren't charging, then I'd be able to change that. And you can choose whether you want the connector to be locked in while you're charging. Can, interestingly, turn on or off the battery cooler and battery heater. I don't know exactly why you'd want to have the ability to turn that on or off, but perhaps if I turn the battery cooler off, then I would actually get more energy in faster, but it might degrade my battery quicker. I assume that has something to do with that. Interesting that Toyota gives you that option. Driver brake suggestion. This is going to have the car suggest that you take a break if it senses you've been driving too long and you're not driving very well anymore. Traffic jam assist. This is going to be a stop and go adaptive cruise control assist feature. DMC recording. I'm going to be honest with you all, I don't quite know what that is. I assume it's some sort of drive motor computer recording. I'm surprised that's off. Lane change assist. You can turn that on or off there. Front collision something or other. There's a few other settings there. Regenerative braking. This is going to be how you adjust how dramatically the vehicle regens for you. I'm going to turn that all the way up. And deceleration memory. I'm sorry, I'm not a vehicle expert in here. I've never seen a lot of these settings. I assume deceleration memory is going to try to match how aggressively you decel and try to kind of match it for you on your own as it learns your driving style. TPWS. So these are different tire pressure warning system settings. If you're going to rotate your tires or maybe want to run at a different tire pressure than factory, you can set that there. Driver monitor settings. Do you want the car to have the driver monitor right here monitoring you and alert you if you're not paying attention? You can turn that on or off. You can adjust your power hatch opener for how much you want it to open. You can check out your scheduled maintenance and oil maintenance settings. And lastly, turn on or off your rear seat reminder, which will beep at you if it thinks you might have left something in the back. Now let's move over to meter settings. You can change the language between English, Spanish, and French. Units, you can change there for your fuel economy. The meter type, what different types do we have here? Hybrid system. Okay. So it essentially just turns on or off your hybrid system information there. It doesn't give you a traditional tachometer. You can also turn on or off your EV driving indicator or your economic driving information systems. A lot of different customization right there. And lastly, at the very bottom, you'll see any sort of alerts. So if your vehicle has maybe a low tire pressure or needs maintenance, it's going to pop up there in the alert screen. So a lot going on in such a very little screen up there in front of us. But let's move over to the center screen. As I said, it is a 12.3-inch display here in this top-level model, but if you get more of a basic Prius, you're going to be dealing with an 8-inch screen that should function fairly similarly. I just imagine the bezels are a little bit larger, or maybe this whole center thing is a little bit smaller, I would hope. This newer Toyota infotainment system, we've seen it in a lot of new Toyota and Lexus products. You've got a persistent menu on the left that will stay there and give you hot, easy shortcuts to get to main applications of the system. That'll go away if you're in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which we'll see here in a little bit. And then on the top, you have a clock up in the top right, some phone signal and connection information there next to that, and then kind of a back button right there on the left top side. There's no exact home screen. A lot of people will use the navigation as their quote-unquote home screen, or Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This is a pretty good built-in navigation system. A lot of times I like having it up at least just for a basic map. You can choose whether you want north to be up or if you want direction to be up, if you will. You can pinch to zoom. You can move back and forth. It's not the most responsive, but it's also not the most laggy of the systems we see built into cars these days. You also have traffic built in, so let's go maybe up the road here toward LA. You'll see much more red on the highways around there, a little bit more traffic, but let's bring it back toward us. And you can use a lot of the controls via voice as well, which we'll get to here later on in the video. Continuing down the left side of the screen, we get our media screen. This vehicle is equipped with FM and AM, something we don't often see on electrified vehicles, Sirius XM satellite radio, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto support, and a USB-C data port up there. If you want to see more of a breakdown on the music on this JBL sound system here, check the link below for our sound system review. But we'll show you real quick how Sirius XM looks. It'll recommend some stations, or you could simply go to one of these categories. Let's pick a holiday station. There we go, and you have your song coming up there, your favorite stations if you've set them, and can you direct tune? Let's see. I don't see a way to directly pop in a number. That's surprising. Oh, there we go. Go all the way back to radio and then hit tune. Sirius XM 144. What's that? Korea Today. That's what we wanted, right? Toyota probably wouldn't appreciate that. All right. Continuing down the left side, we have our phone screen. Now, right now, it's not showing me anything because my device is currently paired up for Android Auto. But if you had a phone paired up and not using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, this screen would give you the ability to go through your contacts, dial in a number directly, and see any other pertinent information for your phone. Continuing down the left, we have the vehicle screen. We're going to go through some of the more important functionality here. In climate, you have the ability to, I guess, fine-tune some of your climate. It's not even really a place to tune it. It's just, you can make a few adjustments. I don't really know why this is there, considering we have all these physical controls here. But below that, you do have the options for eco, heat, and cool, as well as turning your de-icer on or off, interestingly enough, because again, you can do that from right here. Heading back, trip information. This will show you your fuel economy over the last 15 miles. And if you go to history, it'll show you daily fuel economies. And if you update that, it'll kind of save what you've done. Moving below, I quite like this screen. This is the solar energy screen, and it shows you how much solar energy is going into the vehicle from this solar roof. It's not earth-shattering by any means. It doesn't get you a crazy amount of range, but it is kind of cool to see over this vehicle's lifetime, which has got about 5,000 miles on it, it's gained 44.2 kilowatt hours of energy from the sun. So that's going to give you probably about 120, 130 miles of driving that nobody had to pay for. We got it directly from the sunshine. So yeah, it's not going to let you drive on solar energy alone, but it is cool to see. It's cool to see actively. If I were parked in the sun and not plugged in, it'd be showing me how much power is coming in, being generated. Oh, right here, it breaks it down in miles as well. 198 miles according to the vehicle. That's a little optimistic maybe, but still pretty darn cool. Under energy flow, see similar information that you'd see up there in the head-up display, where your power is going between your engine, battery, drive motor, solar panel, and outside charger. You can see right now juice coming in from our charger being plugged in. Charging schedule, if you charge at home and have on-peak and off-peak charger settings that you don't have set up on your charger at home, you can set it within the vehicle here, so it'll only charge on off-peak times. Vehicle alert, if anything were wrong with your vehicle, again, low tire pressure, maintenance necessary, something not working properly, it would let you know right there. And lastly, on the left side, we have our gear icon. That's going to give us all of our settings. The first one we see is the saved profile screen. This is something really nice that Lexus and Toyota are doing with their newer infotainment systems and vehicles. You can set up a profile that's paired up either with your eyes, with your key, or just by choosing the profile here on the screen. And if you share the vehicle within your household, settings such as radio presets, climate presets, and certain seating settings can be saved from driver to driver. So if that other driver gets in the car, it'll set things up for them, and when you get back in it, it'll change it for you. And it applies from vehicle to vehicle as well. So maybe you have 2 or 3 different Lexus Toyota products in your household. When you get into each one of those vehicles, it'll match settings up for your profile. I expect to see more and more functionality from that as the years go on. It's nice to see Toyota starting that up. So this screen is going to be how you choose and manage your different profiles. Continuing down to the personal info screen, same sort of deal. It'll show you which profile is plugged in. You can set up your face identification here if you'd like, and link up keys. You can manage the devices that are connected, and importantly, if you're going to sell one of your newer Toyota vehicles, you're going to want to reset all of your settings right here from that personal info screen. Under Bluetooth and devices, it shows you which devices are paired up via Bluetooth. Continuing down into general, you can turn the screen beep on or off under accessibility. Now, I don't love hearing that little chirp every time I touch the screen, so I choose to have that off, but some people might want that on. Date and time settings, right now it's just set to be set by the GPS and give you the proper time based on where you are on the Earth. But for some reason, if you'd like to change that, or maybe if it's not working properly, you can toggle that off and choose your time zone and daylight savings time and certain clock settings. You can also choose from a 24-hour clock if you prefer to have that. Under language and units, again, for the center screen, you can choose between English, Spanish, and French. And you can also have your measurements be set automatically based on your region. So if you transfer into Mexico or Canada, it's going to change into kilometers per hour there for you. Back into settings and scrolling down, nothing really important in notifications. Wi-Fi, you can turn the vehicle's Wi-Fi hotspot on or off, so that's going to, if you pay for it, provide a Wi-Fi network for devices in the vehicle to use. So say, for example, you have a child with a tablet, and that tablet only has Wi-Fi connectivity, and you'd like them to have connections to the internet, or maybe you have a work device that you want to be connected to the internet. You could pay monthly for a subscription and have Wi-Fi hotspot here in the car. Below that, though, is the Wi-Fi functionality of the vehicle, and that's the opposite. That's so you can connect the car to your Wi-Fi network at home and receive software updates and other information from Toyota that the vehicle can get there. Under display, the setting that I always forget to change for these reviews every time, never fails, the brightness. You can dial the brightness down if it's too harsh in your eyes, or bring it all the way up. You can also turn the display all the way off if you'd like. Say you're driving at night and you don't want that shining in your eyes. Turn it off there and tap the screen to bring it back to life. You can also choose between daytime and nighttime mode. This is a light daytime version. Pick that and you see everything gets darkened for nighttime. I choose automatic so that if you're driving at night, it automatically darkens everything. You can also adjust the brightness and contrast for the backup camera screen. Continuing back, we get to sound and media. This is going to be how you adjust both the volume for your phone's ringtone and the sound of new messages coming in. The voice control for the system, you can choose how loud you want that to be. And you can also choose different treble, mid-range, and bass, and balance and fader settings for your radio. There are some individual settings below for your radio and Sirius XM as well. Under navigation, a lot of different settings here. For example, you can ask it to avoid tolls or highways or ferries while you're using navigation. You can have it show you the speed limit or traffic information. You can choose your various points of interest on the map. Lots of functionality there. If you plan on using the integrated navigation system here in your Prius, I highly recommend you go through all those options, choose which ones you might want to be on or off. Continuing on into voice and search, we have a wake word. We're going to demo this here soon with the voice controls, but you can trigger the voice assistant in this car without even pressing a button using this wake word right here, which you'll see in a little bit. Continuing down in vehicle customize, we have settings for the lights. The automatic headlights, if you want them to come on earlier or later, depending on how dark it is outside, you can adjust that sensitivity. You can also adjust how long you want them to stay on after you leave the vehicle, and you could turn your daytime running lights off if you wanted to do that for some reason. Under door control, you have a lot of different functionality here for if you want the doors to lock or unlock based on which gear you're in, if the doors are open and closed. When you press the unlock button on your key fob, do you want it to unlock all the doors or just the driver door? Same with the smart access. As you come up and touch the door handle, do you want just the driver door to open or all doors? That's what I prefer. And this is kind of nice that Toyota gives you this. You can adjust how loud the car beeps at you when you lock the car with the proxy key coming in or out. I like that. Boarding and exit. Do you want the seat to slide backward when you shut the car off and slide forward when you turn it on? You can have that on or off. Custom drive mode. This is where you're going to adjust your drive mode settings for the selector down by the shifter. You can adjust powertrain, steering, and air conditioning. Different charging settings. Again, if I were not plugged into the charger right now, we could adjust our charger current. This might be helpful if, say, you're charging on a 110 outlet at a home that maybe you don't exactly trust the wiring in the garage, or maybe you're using a large extension cable. You might dial that current down a little bit so that you at least get some charge, but you're not maxing out the system for a long period of time, building up a lot of heat. Under climate controls, do you want air conditioning mode to come on with auto? Typically, yes, you're going to want that. Under utility, I've always wondered what this means in Toyota's ACC Customize. You click that, and you don't get any extra settings, but I assume it's something to do with its customizing and learning your adaptive cruise control preferences. So we'll leave that on and see if I notice anything. Getting back into the main settings screen, a few last menus. We've got dealer information. Theoretically speaking, if you bought this Toyota from a Toyota dealer, they would put their information in there. You could easily contact your dealer with questions. You can change the vehicle's name under information. Also, this is where you'd reset the system if you were either having issues or going to sell your vehicle. Software update, if you're connected to a Wi-Fi network at home, you could prompt the vehicle to download a software update from there. And lastly, under apps, not really any settings you're going to use regularly in there. Okay, there are all your settings. Let's start off next section by looking at voice control. So there are a few different ways to start your voice control assistant here in the Prius. You can either press this button on the steering wheel. If you press it once quickly, you'll get the vehicle's built-in voice command. If you press and hold it, you'll get your phone's voice command, so either Google Assistant or Siri, depending on which sort of device you have connected. You can also press this little icon on the screen wherever you are. That will bring up the voice control. Or you can simply say, "Hey Toyota."
What do you want to do?
Navigate to the nearest Starbucks.
The closest Starbucks is Starbucks at 2790 Lake Forest Drive. Would you like to go now?
Yes.
Calculating route to Starbucks.
There you have it. Very easy to do that. You see I didn't touch a single thing to get that going, and I can cancel the route the same way. "Hey Toyota." Oh? "Hey Toyota."
What do you want to do?
Cancel my navigation.
Canceling trip.
This should be a fairly natural language model, which means you should be able to speak normally to the system, and you don't have to use the exact proper verbiage and prompts in order to make things happen. So I could do things like, "Hey Toyota." Man, it's not picking up very well. Probably because it's probably prompted to not ping if I'm just naturally saying the word Toyota. But I bet if I pause, "Hey Toyota, I'm cold."
Setting the driver's temperature to 63 degrees.
Look at that. So it bumped it up a little bit. It's nice. Also, I'm just now realizing, do we not have dual zone climate control in here? It's a bit surprising. I wonder, can you do things like, "Tell me a joke"?
I've got a great joke about construction, but I'm still working on it.
Ha! That was pretty good. That was pretty good. What's the weather like tomorrow?
Here is the weather for Lake Forest, California on Tuesday, December 12th, mostly sunny and pleasant.
Hey, I will take that. How far are we from the moon?
I'm sorry, I could not find the answer to your question.
Okay, fair enough. That was a tough one for it. So it works pretty well. Let's show you now what Android Auto and Apple CarPlay look like. We're going to start off looking at Android Auto because I already have it paired up. And like I said, you can pair all of your devices wirelessly, so no cable plugged in here. Go to the top left of the screen, and the entire screen is taken up by Android Auto. You can see the nice 2/3, 1/3 split right here with your maps and YouTube Music. Now, this system doesn't provide the highest resolution for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and in some ways that's nice because your buttons and controls are easier to press and see, but it doesn't look quite as crisp as some of the higher resolution systems. If I bring up full screen Google Maps, I'm able to drag and pinch and zoom. Pretty responsive. It looks like I'm getting a pretty good refresh rate there as well. Let's go back home and look at YouTube Music. You can see it switches right there. Let's listen, hit the super mix, see what we're getting. Some B.O.B. So if I had music playing and I went back to the home screen, that's what it would look like. This is your screen of apps, and this is also how you're going to get back to the main Toyota menu. There's no home button here, and you can see we lost our persistent menu on the left side of the screen. So if I want to get back to something like my radio or my built-in nav or settings, I have to click Toyota right there. All right, let's show you how to pair up an iPhone. Got our iPhone 13, or not 13, our SE3 right here. I'm going to go on my iPhone to the settings screen and then press Bluetooth, turn my Bluetooth on. And then in the vehicle, I'm going to go over here to the phone icon, hit Devices, Manage Devices, and add another device. Yes, I would like to disconnect the other devices, and then I'm going to search for devices. Car is searching right now, and I see Charlie's iPhone pop up. I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to accept anything on either of the screens. So if I get any pairing messages, anything like that, I'm going to hit pair, on both devices. Okay, and allow. When it prompts me to enable Apple CarPlay, I'm going to press yes on the screen and use CarPlay on the phone. And there we have it, Apple CarPlay taking up the entire screen. Similar to Android Auto, we've got Maps and Media. Let's go to Google Maps. Now you can drag around, but you cannot pinch and zoom with Apple CarPlay Google Maps. But you still have the functionality right there, and if you want to zoom, you can tap like so. Let's go over to YouTube Music. Again, we see it being full screen right here. Let's go over to our downloads and hit our shuffle. Some delaying, okay. I don't think I've listened to this song in a long time. Pretty cool. And then if we go back home, you can see the split screen layout there. And getting back to the main Toyota screen, right there, Toyota icon. But again, you see how this is fairly chunky looking and pretty large. It's just not the highest resolution. Again, not a big deal, just interesting. So there it is, the infotainment breakdown on the all-new Toyota Prius. What do you all think? Do you have any other questions that I didn't get to? If so, let me know in the comments and I will try to answer them. But not a bad system, pretty easy to use, and I've been fine with it. Big improvement from the outgoing system too, I'll say that. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.